there, bookworms! I'm Jen, and thank you for joining me for another episode of Read It and Steep, the book reviews channel where we talk about good books over good tea. We've all hit rock bottom at some point in our life and felt like we were at our lowest. Maybe for some of you listeners, you feel down right now, even if you aren't at your all-time low. But what if you don't have to hit rock bottom before you start crawling out of your hole? That's a question that Jen Sincero poses in her New York Times bestseller, You Are a Badass. She asserts that all you have to do is make a radical decision to make changes in your life, regardless of what you have to do to make them happen. Each chapter of this extreme self-help book is packed with tons of tips, but in this compressed book review summary, here's what we'll be covering. How to get started creating a badass life, including some ideas around facilitating some dramatic belief system shifts to get the motivation you need, tips for figuring out what the hell you actually have to do to make some changes in your life, and lastly, some hard truths for staying committed to your changes and living in your highest frequency of greatness. So let's start off with a little background on You Are a Badass's author, Jen Sincero. She was a freelance writer and musician in her 40s, making about $28K a year, living in a tiny converted garage. She published a few books, but was still barely making rent and struggling to find her purpose. She said the big difference was that she had to go from wanting to change her life to deciding to change it. So she started focusing her energy solely on things that would make her money, despite her loathing of the idea of working for cash and not for passion. Then, she maxed out her credit card to hire a life coach. Within the first 6 months, she tripled her income by opening up an online business, helping entrepreneurs to write book proposals. Then, she wrote this gem of a book, and now has the luxury of doing the things she loves, like traveling, writing, being a musician, even acting as a life coach herself. How to get started creating a badass life. Sincero says that the first thing that you have to do in order to get unstuck or stop being unhappy is to get in the right emotional state to make a change. In order to do that, you need to open up your mindset by believing we live in a world of infinite possibilities. What if all the stuff that we're so worried about creating and are fixated on becoming is already here right now? Sincero reminds us that the money that you want is already printed. The partner that you are waiting so desperately to find is already alive. Our desires are already swimming out there in this grand old universe, waiting for us to become an active participant in our life and grab a hold of them. I've heard other writers talk about this idea in terms of the word abundance, that we have nearly an unlimited amount of choices to make each day, and that we should be in gratitude of that. So my first takeaway that I wanted to share from You Are a Badass is trust that your new life is already here, and far better than the old. But how do we actually bring our desires into fruition? Sincero asks us to delight in the fact that all of these wishes that we have are already out there. Or as she says on page 33, that everything you want is already available to you. And that we live in a benevolent universe that wants us to have these things that we desire just as much as we do for ourselves. So here's a short story for you to give you perspective. So about a year ago, I was at a marketing conference and I was listening to a speaker give a presentation, and she was teasing her latest book that she wrote, and asked everyone in the audience if they wanted to participate in a text messaging contest to see if they could win a copy of that book. So she asked everyone in the audience to just text a number, and I don't know how to describe it. I was just washed over in that moment with the idea that I already had the book. The book was already mine. And lo and behold, I texted the number and she announced my name. So I went up and got the book, and I was just flooded with this calm energy, this state that I was in such gratitude for the universe for bestowing on me this gift. Sincero calls this knowing with relaxed certainty that it's a done deal. I never would have been attuned to that voice in my head if it wasn't for Sincero's concept of finding your spiritual center. Sincero says she doesn't care if you call it God or the universe or whoever or whatever, but that this planet and our greater purpose is all connected to an energy. She encourages us to choose a word for it. So in her book, she uses the term the universe, and she talks about the energy in terms of the word source energy. To begin this journey, friends, she says that we need to develop a deeper awareness and better relationship with our higher purpose energy. But why? Why must every self-help book connect in some way to some spiritual mumbo-jumbo? You see, that's what I thought too, until I heard her out and kept reading. Sincero believes that all energy vibrates at different frequencies. Just like the law of attraction, like vibrations attract other similar like vibrations. The universe will match whatever vibration you put out there, but you are responsible for consciously mastering your energetic realm. You choose the type of energy you bring along on your self-help journey. Practicing gratitude. Not only do you need to have faith that we live in an abundant universe, but you also need to have gratitude for it. Sincero believes that we need to thank this wild world for all of the wonder that it bestows upon us daily. One way we can do this is by always seeing the positive in every situation, even in otherwise bad situations. Sincero challenges readers to think to themselves, this is good because, in any situation, what's one positive that you can find in even the most shitty of predicaments? So let's role play here. You might say, fuck, I lost my job. But this is good because I can find a better position that I actually enjoy. Or maybe someone that was really important to you walked out of your life. You could become bitter or guilty or sad. Or you could say, okay, this person left. But that's good because I enforced a boundary that meant a lot to me and stuck to my values. Or I created space in my life now for somebody else to step in. Being present. Tapping into the right positive energy involves being present in the now. Being present in the moment gets you out of your head and connects you to your source energy, which raises your frequency, which attracts other higher like frequencies, according to Sincero. Think of how excited your dog is to see you when you come home. Or how a child that's finger painting can get so consumed in what she's doing that she's not thinking about what Susie next to her is painting or if hers looks better. They are living wholeheartedly in the moment, in deep appreciation for the now. But I get it. You can't live blissfully in the moment all the time and ignore your problems. You can, however, choose to bring the right energy to your problem-solving attitude and get energy and action working in unison. To do this, you must commit. Like, really freaking commit. Which leads us to my third takeaway from You Are a Badass. Dispel false limiting beliefs. Sincero says that one of the biggest things that we do to self-sabotage is to let our false limiting beliefs get to us. False limiting beliefs. What the hell is that? Sincero uses the term the Big Snooze for talking about our inner dialogue with our ego, that voice in our head that causes us conflict. The Big Snooze would rather stay in the comfort zone. It's that voice in your head that likes to tell you that it's not possible, you can't make it, you can't do that, or that it's easier to stay in this like meh state of being because it's comfortable and you're not taking a risk or potentially losing anything, and because it's easier than actually planning and working towards specific goals. So we make up excuse after excuse for why we're not making any positive changes in our lives. BS says, are you really gonna leave your comfortable corporate secure job to open a nail salon when you have 2 children and a mortgage to pay? Of course that voice in your head is scared to take a leap this big, this risky, but you're moving past your fear to create something that you're really psyched about. And isn't that what the joy of life is all about? Instead of operating according to your limiting false beliefs, Sincero encourages you to make a habit of doing things you're not so comfy doing. But this voice hasn't woken up yet to your true power, and shutting it up is not going to be easy to do. Ridding yourself of these false limiting beliefs is kind of going to feel like a detox, and it's going to suck. Just like when you're coming off drugs and you're throwing up and you're shaking, the universe is going to throw a lot of chaos your way so that it can self-sabotage and you avoid going out of your comfort zone. For instance, let's say that you open up the pastry shop of your dreams, but on your opening day, a car barrels through your storefront. Most people would probably take that as a sign, oh, maybe I shouldn't open a pastry shop. Maybe this is the universe's way of telling me not to. Well, Sincero challenges you to flip that narrative and realize that it's just you getting rid of this BS. We need to truly believe this though, and despite some obstacles, maintain that mindset that this is the right change, and consciously combat our scared ego. You can practice these round kicks to your ego by adopting an attitude of commitment. Super duper commit. You can't sort of want to make a change in your life and half-ass talk about it without actually committing. You have to consciously decide, okay, I'm doing this no matter what it takes. And you have to set specific goals and get in the right emotional state to achieve each of those goals. So now you've brought to the table the idea that the world wants you to succeed, and you've made a commitment to live consciously in the moment. Now, Sincero says it's hella important that you make your goals non-negotiable. Let's start off by looking at some of the areas of your life that you're not so happy with. So go ahead and grab a notebook. Yeah, I'm gonna be that girl right now who's gonna wait till you pause your video and grab a notebook. There's an incredible difference between thinking about something and writing it down. Any therapist will tell you that. So let's just say in this example that money is your problem. Sincero says to ask yourself, why am I having money problems? Write down the first 5 things that come to mind and dig really deep into the root of why you have that issue or why you're resisting making the changes. Are you in debt because you're impulse shopping on eBay or Poshmark and buying things because they're such a good deal when you really don't need them? Are you paying 1/3 of your rent to live in a cool apartment in the city because you're actually super neurotic and don't want to have a roommate? Is this maybe because I'm an only child and never really learned how to share? Dig deep here into the veins or the roots of your problem tree. That's the whole point of this exercise. Then make a list of changes that you need to make and do them one by one, telling yourself that you are doing no matter what to accomplish them. Figuring out what the hell you need to do. Still feeling a little unsure about how you're gonna make some of these changes? Here are some more tips that I took away from the book. Just see if you can. Take the huge pressure off of this transformation by maintaining a, I just want to see if I can mindset. Remind yourself that this isn't something you have to do, but it's something that you want to do. Suddenly, it seems less like a chore and not so scary with a quick language and perspective shift. Having trouble finding the one? Try telling yourself, I just want to see if I can meet my soulmate by going on this date. And make sure that you follow through on doing it, even if you have your doubts. Has opening up your own business always been a dream of yours, but maybe you're letting startup costs or a fear of failure or other things keep you from giving it a try? Say to yourself, I just want to see if I can start my own business. And if you don't succeed, at least you know you gave it a shot. Share your gifts. What's one thing that you're super passionate about? It's that thing that doesn't pay the bills, but you get in this incredible state of flow when you're doing it and lose track of time. Sincero says that we must embrace the gifts that we were graced with or naturally developed, and that those who do are in alignment with their highest and most powerful selves, she says on page 72. She suggests that you design your life in such a way that you can share these gifts with the world on a consistent basis. For instance, I'm not making any money making these YouTube videos, but I super enjoy video editing and recording and reading and learning and especially helping others. So I do these things because they bring me joy. And in turn, if they bring me joy, hopefully the universe is rooting for the things that I desire, and maybe one day we'll turn this YouTube channel or these book reviews or whatever into a bigger opportunity for me in the future. Sincero says to pay attention to these opportunities that present themselves from the universe and to seize them. Trust your intuition, damn it. Birds use their intuition to make their way to breeding grounds. Deer use their intuition to run away from predators. But according to Sincero, the average human will listen to their drunk before noon neighbor's advice rather than listen to their own intuition and do deep down what they know is best. We have incredible inner guidance tools. All of the answers we need are always inside of us, and we just have to practice sharpening our intuition and listening to our gut to realize them. Sincero Sincero says it isn't always your job to know all of the details behind the how or how you're going to reach your goals, but rather to have a deep understanding of what and to listen to the universe when it sends signs your way of the direction that you can take to achieve that how. Basically, her advice is to do everything that you can in your power right now, but to wait patiently for the universe because it'll send you signs of the direction you can take for everything to naturally unfold in the future. To simply decide with unwavering determination that it will happen and be on the lookout for the opportunity. Do your best wherever you're at. Look, we get that it's not always possible to make a super dramatic change. If your dream is to be a rock star and you're waiting tables during the day so that you can go into your recording studio at night, Sincero says that that's great. You're still on the right track to achieving your goals if you're sharing your gift consistently and doing the thing that you like to do no matter what it takes to make that happen. It's your attitude and your perseverance that matters. Being in gratitude for these things in your life that are helping you to achieve your goals actually raises your frequency, according to Sincero, which attracts other like frequencies like we talked about before, which should start to propel you in the right direction. Fill your space with encouraging reminders of your goals and values. One big thing that I took away from Jen Sincero's advice on loving yourself is to fill your space with positive words of affirmation. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I took pieces of recycled paper that I cut up and I just wrote some encouraging words on them and dotted them across my apartment. So I have them in plants, on mirrors and picture frames, anywhere that I just see as I'm going about my casual everyday routine to remind me to be kind to myself. Come up with a few that don't make you gag, but strike a nerve. Just freaking do something already. Instead of spending hours or days fixating on picking the right next move, just do something already, the author says. Start with one thing that feels right. On page 75, Sincero says, most answers reveal themselves through doing, not thinking. Then, on page 94, she says, if you fixate your mind on this truth and believe that it's real and already here and take decisive action, it will manifest itself. So, lovely listeners, I will leave you with this quote from Jen. What if you decided to do the most outrageous, most exciting thing you ever dared fantasize about, regardless of what anyone, including your terrified self, thought? My hope for you after listening to this book reviews video is that you'll go pick up this book yourself and embrace some higher frequency thoughts and actions and keep your belief in miracles strong. It could very well be the difference between you living a happy life full of expansiveness and abundance versus one that's restricted by indecision and excuses. Isn't it time that you live your life on purpose? Till next time, bookworms, be sure to subscribe.